Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It's time for my The Good Doctor recap. So yeah, I missed the first 2 minutes of the episode, so apparently I must have missed some interaction with Kenny and Sean because it was mentioned later in the episode. So basically, there's two patients. The one patient has had a ton of plastic surgery, and apparently there's an infection in one of her cheek implants, and they have to do the surgery because obviously there's an infection. You don't want the infection to spread, but she doesn't want to do it because um, scarring, and it could because of the type of surgery. I believe I think it was I think it was a little bit complicated. I don't remember exactly what the problem was for cheek. I think it had something to do with about she had to she would have to wait so many months for the cheek to get implant to get replaced, and she didn't want that, and she ended up getting that fixed, but with the risk of infection of any surgery. Morgan actually found in the by her on her back that there's an infection starting, and she's at risk for the infection to spread all over the place, and for sepsis. If she doesn't continue, and she's refusing to she's refusing surgery to remove all. Apparently, they have to remove all of her implants, and she's refusing it. And you keep thinking to yourself, is plastic sur? I kept thinking to myself, is her plastic surgery mean that much to her that she's willing to sacrifice her life just for plastic surgery? And she mentions how her husband looked at her and treated her differently with the plastic surgery, so that's maybe she was maybe hinting. I was kind of maybe hinting that he maybe cheated on her, but we found out that's not the case. That he was actually a gambler, and that he didn't want to. He was ashamed of himself because he was supposed to provide this life for her, but what he describes, he provided her a mediocre life, and she said, that's not true, and and he loves her no matter what. So she decides to go ahead with the surgery, but it is actually too late, and she actually dies on the operating table. And I just kept thinking to myself, if she would have just said, go ahead and do the surgery when they said to, then she probably would have still been alive. But because she hesitated and waited for so long, a consequence was she could have died from it. So the other patient was apparently an old patient of Melendez, and he's a paraplegic, and he's apparently in the hospital with some back pain, and they find that there's this mass on his spine, and they were looking to see what kind of mass it was, and apparently where they can do a surgery that will help him be able to walk again. So he's thrilled at that. But, I gotta say, his interactions were powerful because he had a lot of talks with Sean because, he has a disability and Sean has a disability. So, he talks with Sean out in the hallway about how when people look at him, they only see wheelchair, they don't see who he is, and he asks if Sean feels that way because I guess he can tell that he has Asperger's, and he's referring to the fact that he has Asperger's, and he's supportive of people with Asperger's. He says that he has a brother that highly recommends hiring people with autism, and Sean says, when he first started, that people didn't interact with him at first because they didn't know him, But that's not the case. I mean, that's a common problem, I know, for at least for me. When people interact with me at first, they, okay, they talk to me like they would anybody else, but then once they find out I have Asperger's, or if they can tell I have Asperger's, then they treat me totally different and they start being ignorant and cruel to me. So I could definitely see where he was coming from there. People do tend to treat others differently based on the outside, not who they are as a person. They tend to focus on their disability and not who they are and who they've become. And the surgery that they can do for this patient, he has a 15% chance of dying. And it's brought up a debate in the break room that if there was a surgery to better yourself, but you had, like, say, a 5% chance of dying, would you take it? And I think at one point during the episode, they were asking about Sean, like, if there was a way to cure autism, would you take it? And he's like, why would you take away from the whole person? And I bet that's come across others at times. Like, if there's a way to cure, like, I thought about that myself, like, if there's a way to cure Asperger's for myself, would I do it? And I wouldn't do it because I feel like it would take away from who I am. Like, because of my Asperger's, I'm a very creative individual, and I'm very accepting toward other people, and I feel like I just feel like a whole lot of me, a whole part of who I am would be taken away from me if I didn't have Asperger's, if I was just treated like everybody else. I mean, he even mentioned that, spending so much time trying to fit in, but is it worth it? This is the patient I'm talking about. And, I've spent countless years trying to fit in with others, but I've come to the realization that, I was born to stand out. I'm not going to fit in for everybody. Not everybody is going to like me. Not everybody's going to accept me for who I am. And I just have to be okay with that. The wife is hesitant to let her husband do the surgery and basically walks out on him, saying that if he goes along with the surgery, then she's going to leave him, which I thought, wow, supportive wife there. She later comes back and they agreed to go with the surgery, and the surgery was actually successful, and he'll be able to walk again eventually. So that's really good for him. The other subplots in the episode was Claire's mom returns, and we've seen in previous episodes how she's had a rough life, and so she's very hesitant to start a relationship with her mother. And she even gave an example of how bad her relationship was, that she tried to save money to buy a laptop, but her mom used it to gamble in Reno and buy a designer dress for herself and spend all of Claire's money. Man, it's got to be awful. But at the end of the episode, she at least agrees to talk with her, and her mom does ask for money to get an apartment, which I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, is she truly trying to better herself, or is she just trying to hustle money out of Claire? And Morgan is up to her usual bitchiness. I guess she was paired with Jared tonight, and she's basically telling Jared that he should find another job because he lost respect with his superiors with the incident that happened with him, and that no matter what he'll do, he won't get that back. And so throughout the whole episode, she's giving him credit for stuff that she finds with the patients. And we see at one point Jared's sick of it and asks her to give the recommendation or about another job. And we see that apparently what I mentioned before earlier in my recap about Sean's neighbor, Kenny, one of the other doctors did a background check and found out that he's a small-time criminal. So that makes Sean feel a bit uneasy. I mean, I'm uneasy for him, like, having a criminal there. Like, is he... Because I've wondered the past few episodes, is he trying to take advantage of Sean? Like, because there's something suspicious about him, how he just breaks into his apartment. But he seems like, I mean, he's definitely no Leah, but he seems to be a good friend for him. He went and got him Chinese food. Of course, he took money out of his drawer. It's... Now, again, it could have been something I missed from the first 2 minutes. But apparently Sean does not like Chinese food. I don't like it either. I think it's gross. But he he hooks up this game station for them, and they end up playing Mortal Kombat, and Sean has fun. So I definitely think that he has a friend. He's definitely, again, he's definitely no Leah. Leah was, I thought, a perfect friend for Sean. But then again, who among us is perfect? But one thing that was talked about in the episode is that Sean asks Claire if she would ever date somebody with a disability, and Claire said that, yeah, she'd be open to dating anybody with a disability, and Sean says to her, why would you want that? Why would you want that? Why would you want that burden? And I felt bad for Sean because, you know, he deserves it to have a chance at love too. He deserves to go out on a date or something and have fun. And yeah, I definitely felt that, like, we're people too. I mean, just because we have Asperger's doesn't mean we want to date people, but it's hard because there are some cruel people out there. So it is difficult for us to date because we don't want people to feel like they have to stay with us because we have Asperger's, or what I've always been afraid of is, you know, if I have like a date and go on a few dates and oh, I have Asperger's, they'll just dump you right off the bat. Or you have those cases where they take advantage of you because they know you have Asperger's and they feel like they can take advantage of you. And what was also mentioned in the episode is Sean said to the patient, why would you want to get rid of the one person that supports you for you and supports you and likes you no matter what? And that's true. You definitely don't want to get rid of any of those people. Those people are definitely one in a million for people who accept you fully for who you are and don't try to change you in any way. So yeah, it was definitely a powerful episode of The Good Doctor. Apparently there is only 2 episodes left until the season finale. And I gotta say, I do like The Good Doctor, but it's a bit hard for me to watch at times because it's just a reminder of what I go through in my life. But apparently next week's previews show that Sean gets into some trouble because he says basically whatever is on his mind and ends up talking a patient out of surgery. I don't know exactly what it is yet. Apparently it's a surgery to make her smile again. So yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see. I'm assuming maybe the season finale it would be making a decision on which residents stay and which residents go. So I'm very curious to see what their choices are for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed The Good Doctor. If you guys want to check out The Good Doctor, it is on Mondays, 10 p.m. on ABC. Till next time, stay regal.